Here are 6 overrated myths you're told you should do to become more successful. But in reality, it's just clickbait advice that sounds good on a reel but doesn't always work in real life. Number 1. Wear the same clothes every day. That one clickbait motivation reel will tell you to wear the same clothes for the rest of your life because apparently that will make you as successful as this guy. But Steve Jobs wasn't worth $7 billion because he wore the same thing every day. He got pretty rich because of something else, which I suspect you may have heard of. The argument for this habit is that it reduces daily decision fatigue, and therefore improves your cognitive function. But let's be honest, saving $5 a day isn't going to make you a multimillionaire. If, however, you're doing it to avoid the capitalistic traps of consumerism, then sure, go ahead. That's a good enough reason to not waste your money on clothes that look like this. But if you think it's going to make you the next Steve Jobs, then I suggest you reconsider your choices. Number 2. Wake up at 5 a.m. They say the early bird catches the worm, and hence we're told to wake up early and join the 5 a.m. club. Now, I got nothing against waking up early and being productive. In fact, I'd encourage it. But the problem I have is around the implied narrative that waking up early will make you more successful over someone who starts their day late. Because waking up early in and of itself will not necessarily make you more successful compared to someone who chooses to wake up at 11 a.m. In fact, there are plenty of night owls who have done well by the standard metrics of success. So what makes you successful in reality is doing the work, and doing it repeatedly. Whether you choose to do this by waking up early or staying up till late, it doesn't really matter. The key thing is getting it done at a time that suits you best. Number 3. Cold showers. Cold showers, ice baths, cold plunges, they've all become pretty popular in recent years because apparently that's what successful people do. They wake up at 5 a.m. and plunge straight into freezing cold water, as they're rewiring their brain for hard things and therefore success. Or at least, that's what we're told. But taking a dip in freezing cold water isn't going to make the average person more successful. It's not going to make me a better YouTuber, or make John a better plumber. If, however, you're an athlete or doing it for the mental and physical benefits, then great, you're doing it for the right reasons. But if you're doing it because you think it will make you more successful, then think again, as more often than not, it's something people do once they're already rich and have enough spare cash to justify paying for an overpriced bucket. Number 4. Your $5 latte is stopping you from being a millionaire. Most financial gurus will tell you to never buy a $5 latte from Starbucks and instead invest that money into the S&P 500 so you can let compound interest turn you into a millionaire. Now, if you're buying a Starbucks every morning, then perhaps the financial gurus are not too far off. But spending the occasional $5 will certainly not get in the way between you and your millions. And depriving yourself from every little pleasure in life may make you more wealthy, but not necessarily more happy. But who am I to decide on your definition of success? Number 5. Meditate for 4 hours a day. If there's one thing we can all universally agree on, it would be the following statement: I should start meditating. Okay, I'll start from tomorrow. 6 months later, I should start meditating. Now, I'm no expert, but I'm pretty sure there's a lot of benefits to meditation. But those who tell you to meditate for 4 hours a day are either monks or people who have already made it with too much time on their hands. For the vast majority of us, this simply isn't practical. Instead, pick a duration that works for you, even if that's just 4 minutes a day, and then slowly increase the duration should you want to. Number 6. You just need to work harder. If you were working during the Industrial Revolution, then this advice may have made sense. Now, of course, we all need to put the work in, but in this era of knowledge workers and AI, working harder doesn't necessarily mean more output, because there's a difference between working harder and working smarter. Sometimes doing less is more. It's by focusing on the few important things with the highest amount of leverage that could lead to exponential results. It's like the classic 80-20th rule, minus 80% of the output comes from 20% of the input. So you might as well focus on the 20% and work more efficiently. While some successful people may follow these rules, that doesn't mean that's the root cause behind their success, because there's a difference between correlation and causation. For example, wealthy people might read more than the average person, which suggests a positive correlation between the two variables, but it would be wrong to assume that just by reading more, you'll become more rich. And this is where most of us go wrong. We think success is a simple cause and effect equation. So when our efforts don't lead to the same results as someone else, we think it must be down to a lack of effort or poor execution. When in reality, there are many variables and factors at play. What might work for one person may not work for someone else. So the key is to find what works for you and create your own rules for success. And if you made it this far, I'm impressed. Feel free to like, comment, or subscribe if your thumb isn't too tired.